Fresh from their triumph in the World Cup of 1975, West Indies were now scheduled to play Australia in their home ground during the Australian summer. I had, in the meantime, got access to a modern portable transistor set, which gave me a wider range of frequencies that I could tune into. And I managed to figure out the frequency on which ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, would broadcast the ball-by-ball commentary of the matches played in Australia. So, I was waiting for the series to start. The matches in Australia would start at about 5:30 in the morning in the India time. It was winter time in India, and I would tune into the commentary at 5:30 in the morning while still tucked inside my warm blanket. Australia, of course, had a change of guard, and Greg Chappell had succeeded his elder brother E.A. Chappell as the captain of the Australian team. And there was this huge build-up to this series because people were saying that this was almost like the unofficial Test Championship because two of the best teams in the world were playing against each other. This was a 6-match series. And one very interesting thing about the series at that time was that in Australia, when cricket was played, 1 over constituted 8 balls. Whereas in the rest of the world, an over was just 6 balls. In Australia, this was an 8-ball over that they would play with. So the first match of the series happened at Brisbane, and West Indies actually went into the match with 2 fast bowlers and 2 spinners. And the 2 fast bowlers, one was Andy Roberts, who was a good fast bowler in his own right. And it also marked the Test debut of Michael Holding, who would become one of the best fast bowlers ever to play the game. And Michael Holding, of course, had this long run-up and a very smooth run-up to the wicket when he was bowling. And umpires would say that they wouldn't even hear him approach while he approached them to deliver his ball. And in fact, he got the name Whispering Death because of his smooth run-up to the wicket. So in that match, West Indies played with 2 spinners, and they lost that match. Greg Chappell scored a century in both the innings of the match, being perhaps the first captain to have hit a century in both the innings of a Test match in his first match as a captain. The next match of the series was supposed to be in Perth, which is known for its fast, bouncy pitch, WACA, and that's where West Indies dropped the regular opener Greenidge and one of the spinners and got in their 2 fast bowling all-rounders, Boyce and Julian, who were not express as fast as Roberts and Holding, but nonetheless this was now a more pace-dominated attack. And but the highlight of that match was this breathtaking innings of 169 runs by the West Indian opener Roy Fredericks. He really mounted a savage counter-attack on the pace bowling attack of the Australians, which comprised of Lilly and Thompson and Max Walker, and he cut and pulled ferociously. He reached his 171 balls, and such was the impact of his innings that West Indies reached their 100 in 14th over of their innings. Of course, it was an 8-ball over, but yet it was a very high scoring rate, and they reached the 200 runs in the 22nd over. Unthinkable in a Test match in 1975. And as a result of this great innings that Fredericks placed, and the fact that the West Indian fast bowlers amongst themselves, they took about 19 wickets in that match, West Indies beat Australia by an innings and 87 runs. So at the end of the first 2 matches, the series was very interestingly poised at 1-1. And given the fact that both teams were supposed to be very strong, it was a very mouth-watering contest which people were expecting. But what really happened after that was a complete anticlimax. Australia went on to win the next 4 matches and winning the series 5-1. Their pace attack almost blew off the West Indies batting lineup. Gordon Greenidge, who was shaping up to be a very good world-class opener at that time, and later on would prove to be a great batsman, was a complete failure in this series. He not only lost form, he lost confidence. He was dropped for the last 3 matches of the series. So much so that, after trying some makeshift openers to open with Roy Fredericks, Clive Lloyd asked Richards to open the innings in the last 2 test matches. And Richards scored more than 400 runs in that series, including a century and a 98 in the unfamiliar role as an opener. And remember, those were the days where helmets were not there. And Richards would face the fast bowling attack of Australia on their fast bouncy wickets, wearing just a cap. And I remember one particular excerpt of a commentary where Richards was hit on his head by a bouncer. He fell down, got up to face the next ball, which was again a bouncer, and he hooked it for a 6. That was the kind of batsman that Richards was, and so many people say that this particular series was the making of Richards in terms of a world-class batsman that he was about to become. So this was a great watershed moment as far as West Indies cricket was concerned, because they had now suddenly tasted the impact of fast bowling and how it could terrorize batting lineups. And this was to become the basis for West Indies changing their strategy on how they played the game and how it impacted the cricket world also. West Indian skipper was completely livid with what happened, and he swore that he is not going to play with slow spinners as a part of his attack going forward.